What is going on, team? Welcome back to another video. We are back here in David Lloyd at Fulham Broadway, which is probably the last time we'll be here. Ever.
No, until January.
Until January. Not quite as epic. And today we are going to do an upper body session mimicking that of the workout plan of the one and only Jeff NIPPARD. One of the biggest YouTubers in the space. I've been watching his stuff for a long time. Science-based bodybuilder, phenomenally intelligent guy. Amazing kind of performance standards in terms of his own athleticism as well. And we are going to be doing one of his upper body sessions in a bit. But still, with my decrepit body, 5 or 6 minutes on this thing, a little bit of rolling out, some drills, and then we'll get lifted. Jeff NIPPARD's upper body session. We are starting with some overhead press. There are 6 different sections total to this upper body session, so it's definitely flipping more voluminous than I'm used to. But working up to 3 heavy sets of 4 is what we're going to do. Weight-wise, maybe 80 on strict press. I'm not sure, but a little bit of shoulder mobility stuff now, and just try and cycle through these sets fairly quickly, because 6 different stations compared to my normal like 3 is a little bit more total volume. Warm up on the bar, up, 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 up. Keep ascending, 4 reps, let's go. So he doesn't mention this in the video about this session, but I know that Jeff NIPPARD is a big flipping fan of keeping the tempo of a rep nice and consistent all the way through the set. So although he doesn't mention it, I'm going to try to do him proud and do exactly the same in this. 70 kilos for 4. Let's go. Felt pretty good. I think I was going to use that as a little bit of a gauge to see whether or not I start my first working set, because this was 70 at 75 or at 80, but I'm feeling ambitious and I've had a monster, so 80 it is. I'll take that. It definitely felt heavier on my chest than I was flipping expecting. Actually, that was super spicy just in that front rack position, but it's moving fairly nicely. No movement from the legs or the hips. The only thing I do, take a bit of a breath, kind of brace from there, and then you kind of pop your chest up, but there's no real push as such. So I'm counting that straight. Right, 2 minutes, then on to set 2. 80 kilos. Get out of my face, woman. I feel like the paparazzi. 80 kilos for 4, 3 sets. I'm feeling pretty good, and that was definitely at capacity. Like, the last rep on all 3 of the sets were spicy. Strict, I wouldn't have been able to do 1 more. Reps in reserve, I didn't have flipping any. I said seated row, and I was wrong. It is actually weighted wide grip pull-ups. 3 times 6 reps. But it does say on this, it does emphasize on that bit consistent tempo. So we don't have a belt here, so what I'm going to do is just hold 16 kilos between my knees. I do a lot of close grip stuff, both neutral grip and underhand, but to do like proper kind of standard overhand grip pull-ups, it's been a while since I've done them. So 16 kilos is probably enough, especially if I do want to make sure that all 6 reps are a nice kind of consistent tempo. One warm up set of body weight. So let's just jump straight in, shall we? It's just the tempo, it's just the flipping speed. You know, I'm used to being fairly kind of dynamic with it, throwing my chest up but then allowing myself to drop a little bit. So going at that nice, slow, controlled pace and going to full extension where the shoulders actually relax a little bit at the bottom, with the head and chest come through, and then re-engage in the shoulder girdle from there. It's just tricky, but it's tricky because it's not what I'm used to. But again, I work very hard to not really have a wheelhouse and to have basically everything kind of on and in the foundations that I'm building. So happy to revisit this bit. Okay, so third section, close grip bench press, 2 sets of 12. He was emphasizing basically in this session that the close grip nature of it hits the upper or clavicular head of the tricep more. So there we go, fun little science fact for you. In fact, there's 2 sets of 12. I'm a big fan of going almost to failure and kind of working in that rep range a little bit into the session once you've done a little bit of pre-fatigue. I think it's flipping amazing for kind of functional hypertrophy. I'm actually surprised to see it in a more conventional bodybuilding routine. I would have thought there would have been 4 or 5 sets of this, a little bit lighter, but 2 sets of 12, very much my jam. Warm up now on 60, making sure, as well as the hands being in a position, as well as your grip being in a position that's close grip, there's no point in having a nice narrow grip if you do naturally get that flaring of the elbows. All the way through the bar path and the bar movement, you want to stay as close grip as possible and almost have the upper arm kind of scrape by the side of your torso. There's no point going close grip with grip and having the elbows flare out. Keep it nice and close and basically pull the elbows in. Use a little bit of lat activation to pull the elbows in and keep them there the whole time.
I can't accept the loss, I'm hard-headed. There's a little bit of madness to my method. Many falling off that fine line that I'm treading. I risk anything to be great and I'm not letting nobody rob me of my victory. Number one, that's what I'm meant to be. When by any means, only thing that makes sense to me, I can make nice or make history. I got that dog in me, yeah, turn me up. Big energy, got the crowd going nuts. I got that dog in me, yeah.
Okay, so on to section 4, which is our first superset. We have wide grip seated row. However, the kind of the chest supported row machine is the only thing we've got access to. So we shall make do and do that. But effectively wide grip and neutral, so not hands out to the side. Can you see my hand? Camera woman flipping, sleeping on the job there. Neutral grip but wide, and effectively his reasoning for this is when you go a little bit narrower and effectively pull the elbows down, that works the lats more. When you go a little bit wider and pull the elbows out, that works the traps more, which is what we're hitting. And again, all of this kind of mind-muscle connection, the slightly more bodybuilding aesthetic side, is completely a different flipping realm to me, so it's interesting to kind of learn this stuff. Supersetted with some incline dumbbell lat raise, slightly leant forward and stop the range of motion 10 to 15 degrees from the bottom. If you imagine if you're doing a lat raise from here up, it's always under tension. If you go all the way down, it basically just kind of completely flip and switches off. So down to about there and then up again. 12 on the row, 15 on the lat raise, 3 rounds. Let's go. Jesus, man, that was flipping cheeky. The rows, the chest supported rows aren't that bad actually. I definitely do feel it in my traps. I never really row that wide. I keep everything nice and narrow. Kind of back to bobsleigh routes, the handles like this. So close grip bench for me is pretty much standard. So anything a bit wider is a little bit more outside of my comfort zone. You can definitely feel it on the traps in the back of your neck doing it the row, but these lat raises, it's when you try to kind of take the momentum out by stopping about 10, 15 degrees short, still feeling tension, and then trying to overcome that inertia from almost like a flipping pained isometric. Spicy, 3 rounds of that. I reckon that was probably the hardest bit of the session done actually. Section 5, which is superset number 2, so some cable crossovers, 20 reps, basically 10 low and then 10 medium, and then 20 rope face pulls, just 2 sets of that. I've been in the fitness industry for a long time with many a physical pursuit. I'm now 35, I don't look it, thank you very much. I genuinely don't know if I've ever done a cable crossover in my life, like ever. I don't know whether or not it's a weird stigma thing, that it's like a little bit too bro and I was a little bit too arrogant thinking that I'm above that when I was 21. Fuck knows. But I genuinely can't remember any time I've ever done it. So I'm glad you guys are all here for the loss of my cable crossover virginity.
Do you need me to show you how to do it?
Yeah, if you can, yeah, that'd be great. Let's go. I've heard that your first time really, really hurts, so just please be gentle with me. was pretty good actually. The cable crossover is probably such a flipping stupid thing to say because I imagine most of you are far more experienced with this than me. But obviously when you do bench, when you do pretty much any chest exercise, conventional dumbbell or barbell exercise, as soon as the arms are extended, the chest effectively switches off once you get that joint stacking of wrists, elbows and shoulders. But obviously cable crossover, the resistance is coming from the side, so you're all the way in. So for me, it's really weird experiencing my arms in that position and the chest still having to work, the pecs still having to work to keep the arms there, which is obviously very stupid for you to listen to because you guys already know this. It's just me that for some reason has never done this in my life. Neck, man. I feel it obviously so much in my pecs, a little bit in my biceps as well, strangely, because I think once you're out there, there's like a protective mechanism that keeps the arms very, very slightly bent. To get a little bit of bicep activation. Well, I do. Is that right? I don't know. If you're a physio, please comment below.
Yeah.
Okay, so for face pulls, one of the things I really, really like to do, make sure, because effectively the lats are obviously the strongest pull lever that you've got on your back, you kind of want to turn those off. Face pulls are not in your program to develop that pull lever strength. Is to develop basically the stability and a little bit of strength at the back of the shoulder. So basically turn the lats off by really turning the hands, palms facing downwards, pulling your thumbs up towards your temples and having the elbows as high as possible. If you keep the elbows down, like we spoke about on the road, that's going to let the lats kick in and that's not what we want. Basically you want to take out of action, you want to bench the strong back muscles that you've got to properly isolate and activate only the muscles on the back of the shoulder. Section 5 done, both supersets done, a little bit of amino acids, and then on to section 6, one exercise left. Section 6, what better way to finish off a program from the legendary Jeff NIPPARD than with some supinated dumbbell bicep curls. It's got to be bicep curls. 3 sets of 12 of bicep curls to finish, the most flipping bro bodybuilder way you can imagine to see out an upper body session. So I think I'm probably going to go for 16 kilos just because I want them fairly decent form, and I know as soon as I get to 18 I'll just start flipping swinging. You're welcome ladies, but that ain't going to make my guns any bigger and that ain't going to work for hypertrophy. So probably 16 kilos, 3 sets of 12, only about 60 seconds between. Keep that gap, keep that rest period nice and low, and then Georgie can go and eat. Okay, so one of the things that I now remember that he does in his video is he basically goes through an extra little hack with the bicep curls, and he basically says grab towards the top of the dumbbell. So if you look here, kind of like thumb and forefinger on the top, so effectively your pinky is near the middle, and then as you lift, as you curl, you're kind of lifting and you're really getting that rotation that way, and you're pulling the pinky up towards the sky, and apparently that helps with the peak of your bicep, which again, being someone who's been more performance driven, is something I've literally never given a shit about, but let's give it a go and see if it works.
It's on a 10-second timer.
Yeah.
So because you've been taking nudes.
Have you not been getting it?
No.
What have you been sending them to?
You've been sending them to the wrong Georgie.
Oh no. Set 2 of 3 done. Flipping neck. I can feel the pump is real. I have 2 bald spots on the top of my head because I've got a double crown. Should I go to Turkey and get hair plugs? Comment down below.
I can't accept the loss, I'm hard-headed. There's a little bit of madness to my method. Many falling off that fine line that I'm treading. I risk anything to be great, and I'm not letting nobody rob me of my victory. Number 1, that's what I'm meant to be. When by any means, only thing that makes sense to me, I can make nice or make history. I got that dog in me, yeah.
Very, very rarely was getting enough of a lactic burn in an isolated movement. Take me to my knees. So that's freaking brutal. We worked our way through that pretty quick. That was probably about an hour and 10 minutes, all 6 sections, including the warm-up, which I think is flipping amazing actually. And it just shows you how much you normally cock about. That was a good 50 to 60% more total volume than I normally do, probably in the same amount of time or quicker. So it just shows, like Parkinson's law, if you've got a certain amount of time to do a job, you will take all of that time. If you've got 3 hours to do something, it will take you 3 hours. If you've only got half an hour to do it, it might be a little bit stressful, but you will get it done. It shows that sometimes being against the clock in a gym session is good. Kind of works pretty well. Really do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do smash that like button. It takes you 2 seconds. It's incredibly beneficial for me and the growth of the channel. It makes Georgie very happy, won't it, Georgie? Yeah, she says yeah. If you haven't already done so, please do subscribe. Any questions or anything, please do put it down in the comment section below about the session and also about my hair. And as always, guys, stay strong, stay healthy, stay awesome. And I'll see you in the next video.